Welcome to HAN Radio's Behind the News, the show where three veteran Connecticut news editors go behind the stories with the columnists, photographers, reporters, and editors who covered them. They will discuss not only Hersam Acorn stories, but take a look at the media landscape in Fairfield and Westchester counties. They will discuss it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. With John Kovach and Josh Fisher, here's your host, Kate Czaplinski.
Thanks, Rob. Well,
You're welcome, Kate.
Friday, May 22nd. And this is your coffee break live behind Norwalk City Hall because at 4 o'clock, the sports folks are going to be covering a game here. Super exciting. So here we are doing Behind the News Live. It's a little chilly. Having fun. John, what are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about all the work the sports folks are doing and how it's changed with the advent of video. In the middle of what is going to be kind of a marathon run of sports here.
Wait, this isn't the marathon right now?
The middle of, I said. Oh, boy. Josh, what else have we got?
We're also going to revisit, John, an interview you and I did with the former Monroe Curry editor, Christian Marr, who's the communication specialist spokesman for Griffin Hospital in the Valley. And we're going to talk about their cancer center and a big event they have coming up this weekend. And, of course, we're also going to take a look at the top stories of the week in our region and our coverage area. And working our way up to 1 o'clock for a special late afternoon drive with Denise, who, traffic led to a 3-hour delay of her lovely show. But first, we're here with Rob Adams, who is the voice of Hersam Acorn Radio.
General manager.
And we, Rob, back in March, late March, during the playoffs, the hockey and state basketball playoffs, we decided to increase our manpower for games by about 3 to 7 people
and reduce them off the broadcast themselves.
But it's been fun, and that's why we're here in Norwalk today, because we're doing the Norwalk-Darien game, which the winner of that game will finish the season with first place in the FCAC and get the number 1 seed in the tournament that starts next Tuesday. They both have Darien is in first place right now by a game, but if Norwalk wins, that'd be tied, and the win, of course, by Norwalk would give them the tiebreaker.
Correct.
In that game. So later on, we'll be moving our cameras and our equipment a little over here to the field. But Rob, what's it been like for you? I'm kind of curious because you're a longtime radio guy. I know you've done some video work in the past, but primarily you've been a radio guy.
Right.
Done a lot of play-by-play of sports, particularly baseball and football, for years. And you came up with this great idea to start HAN Radio. But what's it been like to now add this other wrinkle, or maybe not wrinkle, this other media? Your media.
It really is kind of a wrinkle, Josh, and it's been an adjustment. I don't think there's been any question about that. And when we first really began to pursue this idea, I remember saying to Marty Hersam, now, Marty, what are we going to do? Because as I've taught broadcasters for years, there's 2 different schools of play-by-play. As a radio broadcaster, I'm describing everything. I'm telling you, about the tarp over top of the dugouts here, and the color of the sweatshirt you are wearing, or Kate's sweater. I'm giving you all that detail. On TV, you're watching it. I don't need to give you that detail. So it was something that I felt needed to be resolved from day one with Marty. How are we going to approach that? Should I continue? Because, most broadcasts at professional sports, they use 2 different sets of broadcasters. You're sending Michael Kay out into the TV for the Yankees, and you're sending John Sterling over to the radio side, Susan, the pitch. And so there's 2 different levels of play-by-play. Very few simulcast, Vin Scully being one of them, who does the first 3 innings on TV and radio in Los Angeles. So you're giving different levels of detail. And Marty said from day one, which I agreed with, which is what I thought we would do, we will remain with a radio broadcast. It'll continue to be a radio call, but we're adding the pictures into it. So that was definitely an early adjustment for me to understand and come to that agreement. What are we going to do in terms of the description of it all? And it seemed to work out pretty well. So, that was the first thing that we kind of addressed, then for me, one of the biggest adjustments I had was the notion that while we're doing the game, I can actually step back and look at a monitor, which, working for small radio stations, and even here at HAN Radio, we didn't have a monitor. There was no other feed. There's that rare situation that we're able to go to, say, the States, and we look over the shoulder of a broadcaster. Sometimes MSG would show up and have big monitors we could watch. Rare occasions. A couple of times when I was in, say, the Carrier Dome in Syracuse for a championship, or I was out at Stony Brook for a Division I basketball. But by and large, you never have a monitor to work off of. You almost rarely have live stats and all that kind of stuff. So to be able to step back and kind of lean toward Eric Gendron or yourself or whoever's directing and kind of look that shot over it, that's been a big adjustment for me, because I always have to remind myself, oh, that's right, there's a monitor right here I can look on. And that has been a big adjustment.
And I do like how you've kept you do the radio style play-by-play, and of course we still offer HANradio.com. You can listen to any of the games for free. It's a small subscription fee for the video, and some of that money goes to support the Fairfield County Interscholastic Athletic Conference,
right.
the FCAC, which Hersam Acorn has been a partner with for years.
Yeah.
So it's and there. Do you have a preference?
I love radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love the radio call. The radio play-by-play guy is the star. The TV side, John Madden became John Madden because of TV. Whether he was working with Al Michaels or Pat Summerall, those guys, and they're great play-by-play guys, don't get me wrong, I'd be more than happy to be a TV play-by-play guy, but those guys are able to just kind of, Summerall was always great at making the call, Sims over the middle, McConkey, first down, Giants, and then the next thing it'd be, well, let me tell you, John, and Madden would do his thing, and the telestrator and all that stuff. So that's what makes those guys stars over there. But I love the medium of that theater of the mind of radio, of being able to take that play and break it down, to be able to say that, it's a fastball on the outside corner, at the knees, the outfield is shifted around toward left, all of that stuff that you can bring, be able to tell the stories, be able to be painting that picture for you. I love doing all that. So radio has always been that medium, and I grew up with it, I grew up with the play-by-play, and I grew up with even the great DJs that I would listen to when I was a kid. So I'm still a radio. I love doing TV. I love doing the video, but given my choice, it's still radio. It's still a radio call for me.
Which do you find more challenging personally?
I always tell students, I always say to them, what do you think is the toughest game to broadcast? And they all kind of look at me and go, oh, hockey or basketball, there's so much moving, this, that, and the other. And it's baseball, because I love the challenge of being on the radio and having to fill between pitches. There's that whole thing of when they hit it foul, now that the pitcher is getting a new ball back from the umpire, so it becomes, okay, well, what the heck am I going to talk about now? So filling that, where TV, you don't need to do that, John.
Right.
But on radio, if you're not sitting next to me, if Josh isn't sitting next to me, and we're not having a conversation, then I need something else. And it's that moment of, and I always say this, you can't give the score enough, or talk about the outfielders, or how's the infield set up, or, is there someone sitting in the stands that's, fascinating for some reason. So that's the answer for me.
I think we need to get a telestrator though.
Oh yes.
Video. Get Kovac there to.
I know.
Go, bam. And
Oh, you would be.
Man.
And did you and I have a fun call? I don't know if we've ever had a more fun call
God.
where we
That
laughed as
lacrosse
much.
game?
The lacrosse game the other night.
Oh my
Boy,
God.
that was fun.
We're doing Ward at New Canaan lacrosse Tuesday night, and kind of don't look at the records till we get there and get set up. And New Canaan's 15 wins, and Ward was like 7.
Yeah.
And New Canaan comes out of the box, and 2 minutes in, they're up 3-0, and the ball hasn't been beyond her. And it ends up being a tight game for a while. But he and I just start, because the game's starting to go away, we just start throwing references and one-liners at each other.
For me, one of the things that happened was, and sometimes you need a trick to remember a player or a player's name. You know, you hope you can focus on their number. Once in a while, you just can't. So I kept having to look back at the Fairfield Ward roster, and I finally just jumped in my brain and I said, you know, the goalie's name is Coppola. Just use Godfather references and go. So I did, you know. I did. I said, leave. I know somehow I weaved in, leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Oh, it just kept going.
And it just kept going, and
Josh.
you run the risk of it being over the line. And once in a while, I feel like we have to apologize for being as silly as it was. But, you know, we're going through these stretches of these great days where it's so much fun, but there also has to be that moment that we kind of just let it all go.
And we're in one of these stretches where, you know, we did game Monday, we did game Tuesday, we had the remote yesterday, we've got a game tonight, we get a little bit of a breather. But then once the playoffs start, you're just on a grind. I mean, you're just doing games.
Yeah. And it calls to mind some of the challenges that we've seen, you know, only in the couple of months that we've been doing video. And we had enough challenges in the early days of the radio side. But the video stuff especially, and I think the highlight day is that Monday in Cooperstown, where we were, and we so missed Kate up there with us, but the three of us running around along with Marty and Tracy and Eric and all the line of cars just running around Cooperstown, New York, as we're trying to get right. We're trying to line everything up. We're getting from Herkimer, where the power has gone out, down to Cooperstown, and it was just, you know, one of those crazy days. But it was also, that Sunday night was a really proud moment for me because it was such a fun weekend, and we had such a great time calling that game. And I remember driving, you know, getting ready to drive out of Cooperstown, out of Doubleday Field, and that was the day you had come up, Eric had joined us, Marty and Paul Silverfarb and I, and we were already up there. But Marty said to me, lead the way, drive us, take us back up to the hotel. So we're driving up Route 28, and there's kind of this bend in the road as you're driving the not 17 miles that Marty Hersam said it was, but the 27, almost 30, where you go down off almost a cliff into the town of Herkimer. But anyway, there's this big bend in the road, and I just remember kind of looking in my mirror and watching the line of cars of all of you guys, and for whatever reason, this might sound pithy, that was a very proud moment for me, to be with all of you, and again, not with Kate, but to be with all of you, and just this flippin' phenomenal thing that we've all created, and just what a great weekend that was, and how we're taking this video thing to a whole new level.
Yeah, and you guys have been working so hard. Even just the setup for all of this is just, you know, a huge amount of work, and all these remotes we've been doing lately, but it's been fun.
I know Josh and I were newbies to the radio setup when we started the radio, and I know I probably speak for both of us when you looked at that mixing board the first time and the wire.
What are all those knobs
That
for?
thing
What
still
is
scares
this?
me.
and all the wires. And now, because we have so many more moving parts with the video, the mixer's kind of
nothing.
like, oh yeah,
cables.
I'll do the radios.
Just to give it, we had a big, Rob had a big rolling suitcase that we used to carry all the equipment. Then when we got into the video, we got 4 video cameras, and we got another, bag to put all that in. And then we got more cables. Then we said we need longer cables and more HDMI cables and more. So now we have there's 3 main bags we use for all the video equipment. They're like these large duffel bags that probably would not be allowed on planes.
Bags. They're essentially tent bags.
Yeah.
But then
not bags.
And then yesterday we ended up renting a truck because it takes about 3 cars.
Yep.
None of us have an SUV or any.
It's amazing for all of us that do this. Nobody has a truck. Nobody has a pickup. Nobody has an SUV. It's
I'm kind of glad that I don't, because I
Yep,
figured
then
John
you'd
used to
all the
have a pickup
time.
truck, because then you'd be
Yep.
responsible for carrying it, and it's a lot of expensive equipment
Yes.
too.
it is.
Yes,
that we
it
have,
is.
and it's always nice. I'm like, I don't want to take any of this home with me. But we actually rented a large Ryder truck this weekend, which we used yesterday to take all the equipment. Rob had it, took all the equipment to 2 roads, and
Right.
then this morning John went and picked it up at our printing plant and drove it down here to Norwalk, and we'll be using that next week too as the FCX playoffs begin.
It's lit up like a bingo board. By the way, that
Yeah.
dashboard. It's like a Soviet space mission.
Speaking of yesterday, though, at Two Roads Brewing in Stratford, I mean, that was kind of a proud moment as well because for the first time we got to do video of shows we hadn't usually
Right.
done
That's
video
very
of.
true.
Patty Gay's show,
Which
Stir
just
Crazy,
lends
just
itself.
rocked it. I mean, that was such
Yeah.
a great show. She had great guests. They talked about all kinds of things, recipes with beer, foods that complement beer because we were at Two Roads Brewing. Had the brewmaster on, and it just really shined. It's just a whole other,
Yes.
nice
No,
way
it
to
was
show
great.
off what
It
the
was
people
great.
in our company
You got
can
to actually
do.
see what the twins look like.
Yes.
Oh, the twins are great.
They're
Chef
joy.
Sylvia
Oh my
is great. I
gosh.
mean, that was a good combination, and that was a combination that Patty had on just a few weeks ago on the audio side only. And it was a great call by Patty to say, "Let's reassemble this same show, but we'll do a beer theme." So that worked out really well. And then to get Sally and Steve
Yes,
down there, and I
for
know
Radio Arts and
Steve's
Leisure.
been very supportive since day one. Sally's been great on the radio side. She was not as high on going on the TV side, but she was okay. She was all right.
Yeah.
She was willing
It's
to do
new
video.
and, it's a
And
new
so,
challenge.
yeah,
And
it was
a big
great to
hike
see that.
too. A change for them. They work upstairs in our Ridgefield office, which is above the main radio studio, and so they're able just to walk downstairs. We do all the video in Shelton usually. Yesterday
Right.
we were live in Stratford. We've been all over the county.
We really have.
Since
Sunday
the past
we were
7
in
days.
Westport.
Well, look at So Friday we did a live video remote from Palmer's and Darien.
Right.
Sunday we did the caffeine and whatever. The
Concord of
Concord
Caffeine.
Caffeine.
Yes.
Right.
The car show in Westport. Then Monday we were at Weed and Duryea in New Canaan. Did a baseball game that night in New Canaan. The next morning we did the shows from the New Canaan office, from the actual coffee break room. You did a coffee break. And then we did a game. Where was the game on Tuesday night? Oh, the lacrosse
New Canaan.
game.
Lacrosse game, yep.
In New Canaan. And then Wednesday we were actually in the Shelton studio.
It was very
The
new
only
and
day.
different.
And then yesterday, Thursday, we were in Stratford all
Roads,
day
yep.
long. Did 4 hours of broadcasting from Stratford. Today we're in Norwalk. Where are you going to be tomorrow? I'm taking the day off.
Home on the couch.
I'm taking tomorrow, Sunday, and even Monday off. I'm going to live dangerously, but Tuesday we're right back at it.
Right.
At a site to be determined. And, what we've started doing, and I've kind of agreed with this, to make the breakdown as minimal and the traveling as minimal, we're trying to get to the sites, or at least near the site, so we can, kind of minimize the movement.
Right.
So not knowing for sure where we're going to be on Tuesday, I would imagine we're going to be somewhere near that baseball game that we'll do Tuesday. Wednesday, we're probably looking toward Bridgeport, Harbor Yard, that
Right, 'cause
area.
that's where the FCAC, which
That's-
means we could be in our Shelton studios on Wednesday.
We could.
That'll be an adjustment.
We could, or maybe we've got a curveball planned.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Are we going to P.T. Barnum's house?
No.
Oh, that'd be cool. We should do the museum.
We should.
Yeah,
We
there's
should.
a lot of cool places we can do. Hey, you have any ideas? Email us.
Yeah. Radio at HersamAcorn.com.
And that really is true, and that's something we've wanted to do even more of, is to get out on site, get to, we haven't done a lot of restaurants. We've done it a couple of times, but that's something I've wanted to do
we
more
need
of. To be able to even take Nutmeg Sports to a place like that more consistently, because that speaks to,
Right.
that's a kind of
Yes.
show that speaks to a sports kind of place.
Right.
To take your show out and do more stuff, be it coffee break, be it behind the news, to get out and let people be interactive with us. What we've discovered, and you guys know this, we can give the phone number till we're blue in the face. This just is not a call-in area for some reason. I don't know why we haven't.
We're going to get there.
We just have not. And this is my own experience of doing talk shows around here for a long time. Cultivating phone calls around here for whatever reason is very difficult, and I don't know why. I haven't been able to figure it out.
It's Connecticut. People tend to be a little more anonymously private, or
Reserved,
private,
yes.
It's,
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the internet too has really changed things. People are very used to now commenting on the internet on local news and sports.
Right.
There's been, kind of the local television and local radio in our area is not as vibrant as it once was.
No, it's not. Well,
Unfortunately, and it's a tough area too, because we're stuck between the New Haven, Hartford stations and the New York City stations, and most people down here will watch, Channel 4, Channel 2, or Channel 7 to get their
Yeah.
news. And we always feel that we provide that space, to get that news. A little, because people don't, particularly down here in the Norwalk side of the county, when you get maybe much back toward Bridgeport, more people are going to be watching, Channel 8, Channel 3, and 30. But so we really are able to provide some of that news that is in between.
Right.
It really does break my heart how local radio has fallen by the wayside, certainly around here. You know, we're in a town in Norwalk that had WNLK for a long time.
Right.
They eventually partnered up with WSTC out of Stamford, two heritage radio stations that dated back many years, and eventually they both sold. Cox Radio sold them, and they're now part of Sacred Heart University, running as a public radio station. GCH down in Greenwich has existed since 1964. It just passed its 50th anniversary, but even they had to adjust to the times. And, you know, the year Sean was born, 2002, I think I did 100 sporting events that year.
Wow.
And we watched that just shrink down to just football and a random hockey game. And, you know, by matter of elimination, I just kind of said, okay, I want more sports on the air. People want more sports on the air. So here we are standing here.
Sports on the air too.
Well, that's the point.
That you talk about the radio stations. I think Josh and I have seen it in the newspapers. Whereas newspapers, particularly the dailies around here, whereas once they were totally filled with local news and maybe a wire page here and there, now are a half dozen local stories, and then the rest of it is wire copy. Yeah. The radio stations have gone to wire news broadcast, to syndicated shows. So there's a loss of the local feeling, the community news that we're trying to fill now on a multimedia platform.
Growing this. You know, we're just going to keep doing more video. We're excited about that, more radio, and really show off a lot of the great, you know, reporting and journalism that we have going on at all of our newspapers, and we're just going to find new ways to help that shine through the video.
And you could take us with you anywhere.
Yes.
You know, it's fun. It's fun to listen to. You know, it used to be on Fridays. When I was editor of the New Canaan Advertiser, we'd host a community coffee from 9 to 10 o'clock at the Historical Society, and then we generally would do our shows for radio in Ridgefield on Fridays for a while. So then I would drive up from New Canaan into Ridgefield, and I'd plug the phone into the Bluetooth in the car and listen to whether it was originally you guys doing coffee break or then the open hour. And there was a terrible dead zone you'd go through on the cell phone and you wouldn't get it. It'd be so annoying. You're like trying to watch the road and hit refresh on the phone to get it up there until you could kind of get into Lewisboro Hamlet and get over that little ridge. And then it would come in, but it was always fun to listen to everybody. And now it's a bit maybe doing a lacrosse game, and I just want to check in to see how it's going, and I pull my phone out, dial it up on the phone, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty neat. You know, and it looks great in HD on the phone there.
That's very
doing
true.
The games. So people will be able to do this anywhere. And, you know, maybe, and one day you could think of, you know, the kids in school. Maybe there's an early game or something we're doing, and they're sneaking in class watching one of the
I love
games
that
we're
idea.
doing.
It really is such a cool thought, and you realize that people do watch and listen more than you ever thought. And I remember that from the very early days of being in Greenwich on GCH and going, nobody's listening to these games.
Right.
And then the next thing you're finding out is, oh no, not only are people listening, but your broadcasts might be the most listened to thing on the radio station when they're on. So you learn eventually, people start knowing your name or even knowing your voice, which is really a unique circumstance. So,
well, in our first 2 weeks of doing video, back during the playoffs in March, we had over 2,500 subscribers in the first month for that, and that is, you know, was a huge number to get. I think Kate's getting emotional. She's like, you should have seen it. She had to turn around. Beautiful. A little tear was coming down her eyes. She's, you know, just so touched by all these 2,500 people who have reached out and just want to be part of our family.
Who doesn't want to be a part of it? I mean, Florian's
Eric,
here. He wants to be a part of it.
Do you have a tissue for Kate?
No, really, do you?
Why don't we take a break, reset, and
they
come
came
back
by and mowed the
we can
lawn
discuss
just in
this some
time for
more.
Kate's allergies.
Hoping.
We can do that for
Let's
sure.
Go pick her some dandelions.
Kate, take us to break.
All right. Well, we'll be back with more Behind the News after this.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Spring is finally in the air and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersam.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
Now we're back on HANradio.com and streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network at HANradio.com/live stream. Kate's run down to the store to get some allergy medicine and maybe an epidural.
Wow.
Okay.
That jumped up.
Yeah, not sure where to go with that one. Maybe we want to intro this clip.
Let's do that. Go ahead, John.
We had Christian Marr, who is communications specialist for Griffin Hospital, on Coffee Break when Josh and I hosted it during our rare visit to our Shelton studio on Wednesday to talk about the 5K they have coming up to benefit their cancer programs. Great interview. We had a lot of fun and learned a lot about something very important that's directly helping people in need. Let's take a look at that video.
the American Cancer Society, they have volunteers, but it doesn't always, they can't always link things up. And so what we like to do is we like to say, taxi's on us, and we'll order it and we'll pay for it, and they'll go and pick up. So it is great. And it's just, it's awesome that the community comes together and does this. We basically just sort of line up a start and a stop point, and then, we sound off an air horn and things like that and set up a website. But it's really, the community makes it their own. They get out and they fundraise, and we're just happy to have that support and spread the love.
One thing I like about it, there are a lot of such walks to raise money. Yours begins, the check-in is at the center, so
Yes.
you can see what you're working at. You're not meeting at a beach or at a facility or at a field. You're going to the center, the users of which you are helping support, and you get to see it.
Yeah.
And that's got to be inspirational to those who are going to check in and do the walk.
Yes, and we walk around the neighborhood around the cancer center
That's
as
awesome.
well. So, and as far as I know, that's the only real walk through those streets. So it's very interesting, and it's actually a very nice walk. We got a lot of sidewalks that go through, and we turn up sort of Coon Hollow, which is a nice road there, and we go down into Ansonia and then double back. So we actually cross the cancer center twice. So it's nice. We invite the survivors to come down, and we give them a nice gift bag, and have them relax and have some coffee or some tea or whatever, and they get to sort of cheer on the walkers twice as they go through, and it's a nice mass of, usually it's purple. This year we're going to be blue. We're kind of going with some new stuff. So
You should have told me, Christian.
Oh,
you know what I
man.
mean?
Well, I'll tell you what.
John's got the
I'm
blue.
ahead of the curve.
I come bearing gifts, because I know you guys have been looking at my head and wondering,
Oh,
where do I
Yeah.
get
Where
one
do I
of
give you
those?
one of those?
So pass it on down. This
Excellent.
is called
Thank you.
a fandana. It's basically a bandana, but it's just, I don't know if bandana stands for fake bandana or what.
Or just for fans?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
if you watch Survivor, it's kind of exactly
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
like
buffs,
the
you know?
buffs.
You throw 'em on.
Oh, okay.
So if you're thin enough, I think
good
you
to
can
have.
actually wear. I think you can actually wear it as a shirt.
Well, I can't do
ship
that.
sailed
So
somebody.
This one shows
Like
the
at
logo
birth.
best, but I kind of like to do it this way because it looks tough. I channel my inner Daniel LaRusso.
For those listening, we absolutely need photographic evidence of this moment.
I like it. I think this is the
I
way
do
to go
too.
now.
This will come in handy fishing, I will say that. And for tick season, you really want, these are things you have to think about.
It's time for Yankee Fandana.
I'll get Yankee Fisherman Fandanas. Mark that down.
We will be selling these at the 5K for just $5. 5K, $5.
And it sounds like that $5 goes a long way,
Yeah.
too. And it's just, I know that Griffin Hospital is a special part of the Valley, and it's just great to see the community come together and 7 years now and growing.
We've been
this
around.
walk.
Griffin's been around for 100 years. We hope
Right.
to be around for many, many more hundreds. So
Register by May 23rd, and you save that $5 and can get a Fandana. Register before the price goes up on May 23rd. Once you're registered, check in 7:30. 350 Seymour Avenue is the address. Walk run starts at 9. Register in advance.
yes, griffinhealth.org/5K. It's gonna be a great time. I can almost guarantee no rain. Right now.
All right.
If you want to do the weather every morning at 11, feel free to stop by.
All right, well, Christian, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. These are your old stomping grounds, too,
I was gonna
right?
say,
you
I
know?
wasn't advertising in here at one point
Yes,
in time.
we
and
just
so,
kicked
yeah.
him out. We just kicked him out.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I used to be the editor of the Monroe Courier, and then I did sports and all sorts.
Your
of
name is still tacked in very like on Bill Bloxham
Yeah.
desk. I think it's still. I think you might have your old desk or something because
references.
your name's up there,
I'm sure my
There's
face is on a
references
dartboard
around.
somewhere.
carved somewhere too in some places. But Mario Recupero might be responsible for that.
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah, that's true,
yes.
too. All right, we're going to step out, regroup, come back.
And I'll send it right back to you guys on that note.
Thanks, Rob. As you can tell, we are in our Fandanas right now, guys.
Yes.
Showing support for the Griffin Cancer Center 5K.
Step out, support them. I mean, what Christian said, just a great program that helps those in need. And with things that that really stand in the way of them living normal, rides, being
Right.
able to pay for food.
Right. Very important
Little thing, exactly.
Little things you take for granted.
Exactly, little things you take for granted. And Griffin Hospital is such a we talked about place. It's great to see, and I think Christian is a great spokesman for them.
No, he is, and it
it
really is a unique hospital for anyone that hasn't had the chance to go there. As they said, they're very focused on wellness there, and keeping you out of the hospital before you need to go in, and just the beautiful setup. Feeling well and having, just beautiful, comforting surroundings when you're going through something as traumatic as cancer treatment. Right. So we're excited, and plus we kind of look like pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm going to give John an eye patch.
Yeah, John looks like Smee. I think I look a little bit like Rhoda, but...
Oh, yeah, you do. You do.
Rhoda was not a pirate.
Are you going to do a spit-off? It's Kate.
John's my best friend that had the show originally, and then I just get a spin-off.
Seems to work.
I hope you do as well as Frasier and as well as better than Rhoda did. On that note.
Break time?
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll come back and take a look at the top stories in the area.
Up.
Great.
You're watching Behind the News.
Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well, with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Your child has fallen and broken his arm. You need to see an orthopedist fast. Think Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Don't wait hours in the ER. Save a trip and money by going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care in Norwalk. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk or call 203-845-2070. Fast.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332 or online at stratfordsmile.com.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersamsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
All right, it is 12:51 on Behind the News on HANradio.com and live streaming on the HAN network at HANradio.com/livestream. I'm Kate Czaplinski with Josh Fisher, John Kovach, the rest of our HAN crew. As if you're watching, you can see, or perhaps you can hear some of the wind. We are outside right now behind Norwalk City Hall.
Yeah, and it is windy. We're hoping the stakes hold this our tent down. It doesn't fly away because John's attached to it, and he might end up in Westport.
I don't fly well.
You'll be like the Bubble Boy. Remember that balloon that was loose? And we thought the kids was in it.
Yes.
That was
like
big
there's
news.
a Kovach in there.
I'm sure that got a lot of hits, like some of our stories did this
I
week.
don't
guys.
fly well. It's going to be like the A-Team with Mr. T as B.A.
Don't make me get a
Baracus.
stool out, John, and tame you like I had to yesterday.
Well, guys, what are you seeing in the list of our top Hersam Acorn stories across all of our websites this week?
Well, a lot going on in New Canaan certainly this week.
Yes. That young, the high school student arrested for selling marijuana.
Yep, arrested at the school with a marijuana package to sell.
And scales, and a scale,
And, of course, the police commission hearing that we talked with Michael Catarivas about last week and on Monday talked with Greg
That
Riley
was so
about
interesting.
on Coffee Break. That's going on, and a couple of those stories made our top 10 stories of the week.
One of the things I find interesting about that, and I believe there's more than one of these, are situations where somebody clicked on the story, read it, then took the time to comment saying, why are you reporting on this? Why are you commenting on something you don't think I should be reporting on?
It's an interesting story in that it is rather personal, and it's a lot of personal stuff that is coming up in public in a small town, and that always puts people on a little edge and are worried about it. But, there's at least one man's job at stake here. And I think Michael Catarivas and the Advertiser are doing a very good job, presenting all the facts to people. And it's not always pretty, but it's important, and it's an important thing to happen. He just posted another story about that today, an interview with the town attorney of New Canaan, and talks about some comparisons to a previous issue where where a previous first selectman was getting pension payments well above what he was supposed to do because he wasn't a fully vested employee. He only served 4 years instead of the required 5, and he was allowed to pay back the money. But the town of New Canaan has not been allowing this sergeant who's under investigation to pay back the $33,000 that was used on his wife's health insurance when she wasn't actually married to him.
And he has made the offer to. He could pay this back. There's no loss to the taxpayers, but for some reason, this termination process is continuing.
Yes, so we'll keep following that story. We might have Michael Catarivas back on next week. Maybe if we're not doing this
lucky.
from Poland.
Yeah. Well, New Canaan Advertiser really dominated the web this week. There was also a really great story about a police officer saving a life in an Elm Street restaurant. Someone was choking at Sushi 25, and an officer who was off duty but doing side work nearby heard the call and came and administered the Heimlich maneuver and saved the person's life.
Yeah.
So some good story there. Officer Shane Gibson did that.
That was a great job. We have some good pictures, too. Catarivas did also of a car driving off the road into a ditch. And
that was a scary story. That woman really just missed all. I mean, she was very lucky. We read that story yesterday on Coffee Break.
Another story we read on Coffee Break, and this is one that just boggles the mind. It is in Milford, where because of regulations after Hurricane Sandy, they forced some people who live close to the shoreline to elevate their houses, and now they're taxing them extra because they have a view of the marsh.
That is just an insane story.
You really looking to stick it to people.
Yeah, and the MilfordMirror.com, just great story, really interesting read. Have to say, one of my stories is top story this week.
Oh,
yes.
You still
Trumbull
write?
Day.
You write stories?
I still write stories. It's amazing, right?
Trumbull Day. It's like
Trumbull Day is taken very seriously by Trumbull residents, and like
So, of course,
everything
Tim
else in
Herbst.
Trumbull, it manages to become an election issue.
Of course.
A few years ago, it's an expensive event to put on, so they tried to move it to the mall and have the mall do the fireworks. People weren't huge fans of that. And then it came back 2 years ago, and people were really excited. It's typically held late June, right before July 4th. But Tim Herbst has announced, he said that due to lack of engagement on the part of the Trumbull Day Commission, that his office has decided to move it to September and kind of make it a Trumbull Fall Festival, which sounds very nice in theory. There's been a lot of social media chatter about it. People are not big fans.
Does Tim Herbst ever make a move without blaming someone else for it? It always seems like every time he has to do something, he has to point the finger that someone is not doing something.
It's never. It's not. This is a better idea. Or this would be a better way to do
Yeah.
it. It's
Right,
somebody
'cause
else.
he has good
Never-
ideas.
Yeah, he does
Tim
have good
Herbst has had
ideas, but
great
I've never,
ideas.
He
it's like it'd
does.
be nice to just see a positive spin sometimes and not a negative spin. It seems negativity
ya.
seems to follow him around like a black cloud.
I hear
But
you on that.
Speaking of politics, though, last week we had one of our top stories was that Joe Michelli announced he was going to seek the Republican nomination for first selectman in Darien. And this week, the sitting first selectman, Jamie Stevenson, who's been on our show a number of times as our tent rises up. We'll see who does the wind want to win the first selectman's race in Darien. Jamie Stevenson announced she's going to run for re-election. It would be she's seeking a third term as first selectman, fourth term on the board of selectmen. Thank you, Rob. And so that's a big story. She traveled to the Darien Times office, too, to make the announcement personally, so that's exciting. Always nice to see our politicians using our websites and papers to
I think it's a
get the news
testament
out.
to the paper's status in the community, the job Susan Schultz and her staff do down there, that they chose to visit the newspaper office to make that announcement. So typically it's come to town hall or come to such and such facility, and we're having a press conference, and here the sitting first selectman went to the Darien Times office to personally tell the editor, we're running again.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
I think that'll do it.
that about does it for Behind the News.
Yeah, 'cause somebody's got to help
time to get
Rob
your
Blast
parka.
to get that back in.
Yes. The Drive with Denise is coming up. Denise is here, but Denise, are we replaying or are we going live?
We're going live.
We'll
So
do it
Denise
live.
is coming up right after us. So excited about that. So make sure to keep watching and listening to HANradio.com.
Have a great weekend.